Datev here at Rhizome DC's Tacoma Park location in June of 2021. I am honored to be interviewing Jude, who is a musician, herbalist.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself?
I like to say I'm a budding ethnobotanist slash herbalist, vocalist, and electronic musician.
Yes, and we are going to talk about the story and visions of Rhizome, but more so we're going to talk about your story and situate Rhizome within your own life. So we'll start at the beginning, and I want to ask you this first question. If you could tell me a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm originally born in San Diego, California. My parents actually met here, and you know they had a house here, and we're gonna live here. But by the time that I was about to come into the ether, they moved to the West Coast, and that's where I was born. Much of my life was like surrounded in music. I come from a very musical family. On my dad's side, everybody sings at the family reunions. You just hear a choir of like multi-generational choir, and like those are some of the things, like the experiences that really influenced me as a child. Just like feeling like a well of pride, like knowing that I come from all these phenomenal people. In California, like I considered myself outdoorsy, but I was mostly just going to the beach and in the canyons and stuff like that were close to my neighborhood. So I kind of like would like collect things like shells and rocks and different things, just my own private little collections, you know. And I feel like that has also influenced like my desires to like really study ethnobotany and like understand like our earth connection. Those are the type of themes that I feel like a lot of my work or the things that I'm interested have kind of like taken root from. In terms of music, sorry.
No, just take your time.
I started off taking piano lessons from my Auntie Joy.
Yeah.
She was the first one in kindergarten.
Do you remember what composition you were trying to learn?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
There was like a lot of little different like, little books that we had that we'd learn from, and I hated doing them. To be real, I would just like go home and try to just do my own thing, honestly. But she was also the choir director, and so I sang in church every weekend growing up. So music has like always been like intertwined in my life. I would definitely be like running away from choir, to be real. And you could find me like in like floofy dresses, like climbing trees, like people screaming at me. I was pretty like a wild child. So
this was in San Diego.
Yeah. You know, like I was super grounded. I knew who my community was. I was just like, I could do whatever I want. But I really appreciate those formative years because like that like showed me and ingrained in me who I am, and like that wild spirit. I've definitely honed in on that. But the part of me, the child that like was just like interested in like exploring like our world and understanding what I have to do here, you know. I'm really grateful for those experiences because that's what essentially like shaped me to become who I am now.
Yeah. And do you remember how then music progressed from there, from lessons from Auntie Joy? What was next musically for you?
For me, I started like, of course, like running away from choir each week at church, but at home I had like all these Walkmans and like tape decks, and I started like recording poems and like songs and composing them and like kind of mixing them together on tapes. And I really didn't like them, but they were so much fun to do. I just kept doing it.
Why did you not like them?
I didn't like my voice growing up. I don't know why, but I didn't like my voice a lot growing up, and I thought like my tone of voice was weird or strange. But for most of my life, like my mom has said I have a very therapeutic
You
speaking
do.
voice and sing. So I'm just like, I don't know what my mind was like, but actually, I think I understand. I think growing up, like I didn't realize that I was non-binary, like, and so like coming into, you know, puberty and stuff, I wasn't really like desiring certain shifts that were happening for me and didn't know how to vocalize that or have the language to. So I think that's where a lot of like dissonance started happening for like in terms of my own voice. But yeah, I was just like experimenting with tapes and like recording over old tapes that we had and like yeah, just like I've always had like little like electronic keyboards and stuff like that or access to them. I'd be waiting for my dad like for hours after church, and I would just like get on the organ, and you know it's kind of like you know organ sounds are so different, but you know I always found something to do, like a way to amuse myself or like play.
Wait, what age were you playing organ?
Probably like 8.
Wow.
You know, but not like,
In
you
the
know, like professional well in
Yeah.
church or nothing, but you know,
I've
know,
never played an organ still. I feel like that's kind of like
it's really fun because you got
Yeah.
the bottom pedals and then, you know, there's so I feel like that actually dang, I didn't even think about this. I feel like that was like why I started like really leaning in towards like hardware and different like synthesizers and like pedals and different ways that you can kind of like manipulate sound, because you can just like create so many like different tones with an organ, and there's a lot of freedom.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So, how? Until what age were you in San Diego?
I was in San Diego until 2001. I don't remember what age, but I moved to Seattle.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that was like a total shift. Like it was still the West Coast, but
Seattle is completely different
yeah,
from San
you
Diego.
know, like you know, I'm used to the sun all year
Yeah.
round. I'm outside barefoot all year round, and I'm coming to a place that was like, I know it's pretty diverse now, but at the time it didn't feel very diverse to me,
No.
you know?
I mean, it's still
Yeah.
isn't all that.
Yeah, that's like some of my first like experiences experiencing anti-blackness or things of that nature in Seattle. But I also cultivated like some amazing friendships
Yeah.
there, you know, especially in high school.
How
Yeah.
many years were you living in Seattle?
I lived in Seattle, like I graduated high school,
Wow.
and then I moved in 2009 to Alabama to study in school. Yeah, so
Wow.
I was there, yeah, for 8 years. Yeah.
Did you get like? Did you get into any of the natural stuff out in Northwest?
I really wanted to. I actually did some outdoor camping. Yeah, I actually went to camp a lot. Like what else?
I'm trying to trace the roots of your ethnobotanical
I know, right?
practice, but I wonder,
Yeah.
maybe it's the outside. But
Yeah, I mean, I've always been like, yeah, in Seattle, we had like a really big yard for like the first time in my life, and we did a lot of yard work, and a lot of it didn't feel good at the time, because you know,
it's tiring.
yeah,
It's boring.
you know,
it's repetitive.
I wasn't used to raking up leaves and like putting down mulch, but now it's great because like it helped me like be able to like get comfortable like with the earth and like get dirty. It's nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seattle, like I always wanted to do like skiing or snowboarding or any of those sports or kayaking, because like I saw like my peers doing it. I'm like, whoa, y'all are extreme, you know? But I was like into sports, like I was a jock growing up, so like I feel like my life now is actually a 180. I feel like how I was in San Diego as a kid, like that was definitely more true to me. Like going to a new place where I didn't recognize anyone or have any type of connection with anyone there, I feel like I kind of like went into myself a lot. There I did continue piano lessons and vocal lessons, and that's when I started really like disconnecting with like formative lessons, and I just started like creating music for my own. Actually, I started writing my first songs in like the living room of my house. There was this like purple I forgot what kind of keyboard it was. It's been so long. But they had weighted keys, and that's like pretty special.
Yeah.
You know, especially like in terms of like, you know, electronic keyboards. But yeah, I started like composing my own songs and trying to record them, and just like kind of figuring out like what I wanted to do with sound in those early years, like 13 and 12 and even 15. It was kind of like some of the releases I had, some of the alone time that I had when I wasn't like engrossed in playing basketball. I was like a jock back in those days, which is funny to think about because, you know, yeah. Now I'm like a whole artist, and those are the things that I yearned to have or be able to do. But yeah, I just kind of like just stayed where I felt like was more comfortable, probably, you know, or where I felt like I could get like attention from like my family or be praised in that way, you know. So instead of like deviating out of the norm. So but yeah, but I definitely feel like during those years in Seattle, like I cultivated I nurtured like an inner world where I started expressing some of like my deeper yearnings with music. I still remember some of those songs. I wouldn't,
Tell me. Give
I
me a
wouldn't
song.
play. I wouldn't play them for anybody. I can't.
What were they about?
A lot about releasing like anger and angst. I had a lot of rage growing up. Actually, recently found like a box full of my old journals, and I just had to burn them. I was like, nobody needs to see this, you know. But yeah, I had a lot of angst and rage, and I think it was like just like conflicting identities and like wanting to be accepted, having to start over, not knowing who I was any longer, and trying to like find my way. Yeah.
And then university you said brought you to Alabama?
Yeah, I went to Oakwood University. Yeah.
Okay.
It's in Huntsville, Alabama. It's close to Alabama A&M and UAH.
What was Alabama like? Like those stuff?
I know, right?
Yeah, and then coming to DC, I feel like you're covering pretty like distinct different parts of DC. The United States, I'm sorry.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, tell me about Alabama.
Alabama changed my life. I came in like, you know, after those years, like I was like more on the track to like go to school to play basketball or something like that. I ended up being at a school that was like heavily music oriented, and I was singing in choirs there, actually taking time to really hone in on like playing the piano and composing a lot more. I had the opportunity to have a really wonderful roommate, and we started like a band and creating music, and
Part of being outside.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I started playing guitar in those years, and she had a bass, and we would just be in our dorm room, just like creating and making like sounds. And we started playing at some of like the shows around campus and poetry shows. Yeah, but we would be in the music building a lot, just like working on stuff. We weren't in any music program, but that was just like our life at that time. Yeah, but Alabama as a whole, that was a total different environment completely, you know, like it's different where in Seattle, like you can experience like liberal anti-blackness, but it's different when you experience like overt, where you're like, oh, I shouldn't be here past like 8 p.m. in this area because like, you know, I might be in danger, you know. So those were some real experiences and I had to be, you know, I have to recognize that and take care of myself. But I cultivated so many wonderful friends. I fully immersed in art at that time. I was a freshman in '09, and by sophomore year, I was just like really unsatisfied with like the powers that be, the educational system, everything. I was really fed up. And so I actually left to take a year abroad in Argentina, and I got to spend some time in Chile. Yeah,
wow.
I was in a Spanish program, and so I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to get out, because this ain't it.
How was the time in Argentina and Chile?
Oh, that just solidified all the things that I was like allowing myself to welcome into myself again. Like that just solidified it, and I couldn't go back.
Yeah.
Like I was making so much music there, like playing guitar a lot, because that was like an instrument that I can carry with me anywhere. I kind of like separated from playing the piano and the keyboard for those years, and really got into guitar and started singing a lot more. And then also like because I was no longer like affiliated with a church or choral groups and stuff, I started just like creating music for myself. And outside of like even the bands that I was like starting to work with in Alabama. But yeah, that was a beautiful experience that totally changed me again. I feel like one of the reoccurring things in my life is just like transformation, moving to a place and allowing like the energies of that land like fill me completely, bring greater awareness to my personhood and to my life, and kind of delve even further into like who I really am at the core of my being.
Who are you at the core of your being?
At the core of my being, I feel like I'm a soul that's already been here on Earth. That is not so happy to be back. To be real with you.
Okay.
But I feel
why is that? Do you know?
I know I'm here for a karmic reason. I feel like there was some unfinished business that I had in a previous life. That's just like my gut feeling, and that's also like some things that I've also heard from some other seers. But yeah, I feel like I'm here to heal like parts of my family, like the intergenerational traumas that we've endured. I feel like I'm here to like give something new for the next generation. So, and I hope that one got to come back. No, but okay, I know that sounds kind of acerbic, but I'm kind of serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, every place that I've been has like totally changed me and impacted me. Like at first, like I was just like a kid with a chip on my shoulder from California, you know, and then like I was able to hone in on like the deeper and darker parts of myself in Seattle, and Alabama just like gave me like some southern wild creativity that I just couldn't ignore any longer. All of my identities just kind of converged all at once, like the music side, like not so much, well that came later. Like herbalism, everything came through like health reasons and wanting to like have a better relationship with my body and take care of myself, because there were some certain things that were happening that, you know, doctors couldn't explain or understand, and that's the karma
Yeah.
that I, you know, have
At
had
an
to
earlier
kinda,
age?
yeah, like my early 20s.
Wow.
I got a diagnosis that around, this was like actually right when I got back from Argentina, like that summer I started seeing stars, and my vision would start blacking out, and
Oh my God.
I ended up having a neurological condition that was irreversible. So it's kind of hard to hear like at what, 21 or something, that, you know, you could potentially die from an aneurysm at any time. So I know it sounds funny now, but you know, I've already made my peace, and I'm just like kind of surprised that I'm still here and blessed that I'm still here. And that kind of like put me into like,
Excuse me.
yeah.
Sorry, do you mind just going around us so it's not always in the background? Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to get that kind of diagnosis at a young age, but I've definitely made my peace with life and death, and I'm just grateful for every day that I'm here. I feel like because of that, I just like fully immersed myself in creating that, and that was it. That was my life. I was in school still, but I was having a really hard time. I was having a very hard time, and I was completely burnt out, and the only things that I had any type of motivation to do were creating music or painting. That was it.
What were you painting?
I was doing a lot of abstract pieces. Yeah, very kind of just like improvised, like whatever emotion that I was feeling, I would just try to like hone in on like what kind of colors that felt like. And a lot of my earlier pieces were much darker, but I feel like after like getting all of that part out, like the grief, and the lack of understanding of like where certain things were stemming from. Like it just kind of opened up a whole new world for me in terms of like how that was also informing my musical practice. Like the project Mem, like all of that came out of like working on music and then like listening to what I was working on while painting and then creating something from that. And that would also further inform like whatever else I was working on sonically and back and forth, back and forth. So it felt like I definitely consider myself a true interdisciplinary artist because all of my work and all of my studies inform each other of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I did end up finishing school, which was a blessing, but I was so burnt out and I was just not okay. And but that's when I fully like started studying herbalism. My grandmother, she's a bush woman from Jamaica, and you know she saw me. She was like, "What's going on?" Because she knows that like I'm like super vibrant and like she never like witnessed me like depressed before, and I was like really depressed. So she started bringing me to the garden with her and getting me out of bed and giving me different herbal remedies. She's always been the healer in the family. And so I kind of like didn't even realize, but I started studying with her. It's been like we're in 2021. Yeah, it's been about at least 5 or 6 years now since I really started learning with her. But that's what really got me was like having a diagnosis that, you know, no Western doctor could help at all. But my grandmother, she may not have been able to solve all of my issues, but she did find a way for me to like kind of release some of like the anxiety and depressive forces that were like taking deep hold on me. Yeah, the herbs and like the earth really has nurtured me and like taken care of my whole being. And I feel like that's like why I feel so passionate about the earth and like wanting to connect and like bring other people to this kind of connection because I feel like yeah, all around us, like the earth is like supporting us and like is there and willing and like all the medicine is right here, you know. So yeah, that is I feel like in my early 20s, like that's the main reason why I did get into herbalism and started gardening, which is cool because I didn't know anything about gardening. I just did a little landscaping, mulch, yard keeping, that kind of stuff. But yeah, but
So
yeah.
how has it evolved for your herbalist, ethnobotanist practice? How has it evolved over years? Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, I
From
started
grandma
working.
to today.
To today. Yeah, I learned so much from her, from making poultices to different tea blends and different family traditions that we would like different herbal medicines that we would make as a family. And so just like spending time with her in the kitchen, getting to know. And that kind of evolved to me making like my own herbal blends. I started doing my own research. I got any herbal book I can get my hands on. And yeah, I started, of course, taking over like the garden in the back, that she had, and because after a while, she came down with her third bout of cancer, and so I ended up having to take care of her. So it was like she was like holding space for me and taking care of me, and then because I was able to become stronger, the roles were reversed, and I started cooking for her and getting her out of bed and bringing her to the garden with me, and yeah, I learned a lot in those years because I care about her so much, and I wanted her to, still be here with us. Yeah, I started, doing my own independent research and studying, and during this time, I still like had my own bouts of illness, so I was definitely on my, Frida Kahlo. Like horizontal in bed for months at times, sometimes depending on where I was at. And so I just immersed myself fully in just like reading about herbs and how they can heal us and what I might need to implement in my life. And of course, making music, like real bedroom shit, right there on my bed, literally, and painting whenever I could, when I couldn't like take being there any longer, yeah. I know they say that like the whole theme of the wounded healer, but it's like the wound is where the light comes in, and yeah, definitely light has penetrated my whole being from like all this, but it has made me more aware of like what other folks are experiencing, because some folks are born with disabilities and some develop. It's like just really opened my awareness to how we can like hold more space for folks depending like wherever they are and like in their abilities. So yeah, but into herbalist, ethnobotanist, and music. Yeah, those were the times. It's just spending time alone, having a lot of concentrated time alone. I really honed in on all my practices, and it wasn't until actually I moved here that I started like expanding just from like research and like just stuff at home to like building my own apothecary. I started working at Calabash when I moved here. I moved in with my auntie. It was
Tell
like,
me a little, like, start that the
Oh,
journey
yeah.
when you came to DC.
Yeah.
Tell me details about that.
So yeah, I graduated school. I was at home for a while. My grandma was helping me heal, and then I was like, oh yeah. I went back to California. All my family was gone from there. It did not feel good, and it was heavily gentrified, and it was just too expensive. So I was like, where's my family? And they've all are either back east or in the south. So I came and moved with my auntie out in Silver Spring in spring of 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually came before, but I was still living in California in 2016. I came to a house show. Yeah, and some of those folks are like some of my best friends now, which is crazy. Yeah, it was Jason, also known as Echelon the Seeker, and Marshall Andre. They had a show here.
How is he doing?
He's doing great. He's in South Carolina right now.
Oh, wonderful.
And yeah, and Jason is in I think still in Maryland and has a whole family now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know so much has changed. But yeah, I came to visit for a house show, and I was trying to convince them to move to Cali with me, and they're like, "Nah, you coming here?" And I was just like, "Yeah, whatever." But literally, like a couple months later, I moved in with my aunt, 2017. And yeah,
How was DC? Do you remember your first experience?
Yeah.
Like, how did it feel? Like, coming also, especially from this kind of interesting journey you've been going through. How
Yeah.
did DC feel in contrast?
DC
Or
felt,
Silver Spring, DC, yeah.
let's see. Yeah, I was living in Silver Spring and I was working in DC. Probably the first shows that I even had gone to, like, were Rhizome. Definitely the first ones from the jump, like the first week. And
Do you remember
house shows.
that show?
Yeah, Marshall Andre was playing.
Oh, yeah.
I think Jake McGinsky was playing too. Who else?
How
And
was
I
it?
met Pat Kane that night too.
Pat was just here.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he ran away because he was giving us
No.
space so we can do this.
Okay, yeah, I know, because I start crying. But yeah, wow, I met Heads that night. I think, did I meet Ian that first night too? I just remember meeting so many wonderful folks and like just like being so like excited that like alternative like music and sound could be experienced here in this space. It just felt so free, and I felt like I had like a complete spiritual experience here. Yeah. Like the first night that I arrived, I was with Jason and Michelle in the studio at Beyond Studios, and like literally that just like set the tone for my time here in DC. Yeah, I was working as a budding herbalist at the time at Calabash, and running over to Rhizome like after work and stuff like that, on the metro. Yeah, and just cultivating friendships and exploring. I started going to Atomic with friends and like getting into gear and
What's Atomic?
Atomic, oh, the music store.
I don't know.
Oh, so basically Atomic is like this beautiful place.
Where is that?
It's magic. It's in Beltsville. It's in Beltsville, Maryland.
Okay.
And they have like all this used gear. You can go and trade stuff. You can, sell stuff too. But I'm usually trading something that I have for something that I want. They have like, guitars.
Amazing.
Synthesizer. Yeah, I got my my synthesizer from there. Yeah, that was like one of my first investments. I was like, this is my baby. Yeah.
Have you been playing shows with your baby recently?
Not recently.
Or
I've
at
definitely
home?
taken a hiatus from this
Okay.
whole, year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many people have.
Yeah. I did do one show, like an online show, but I haven't done anything in person yet. But yeah. So I guess I'm just like kind of like re-finding my footing. And what I want to do and what I want to share. I know we've all had like a
understand
plethora of experiences these last year and a half. So I guess I'm just like, I don't know, wanting to reconnect with all my family and friends and be able to cherish and hold the Rhizome memories like so close, because they're irreplaceable. I've seen so many, my life has been changed at Rhizome for like so many nights.
I want to get into all the details about Rhizome, but I think do you want to change the?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's check. Do you remember how we finished? Do you want to continue, pick up from there, or just tell me about your existence and your presence here at Rhizome? Like what's happened? Do you remember? Those things.
My first show was here at Rhizome. I was
Your first ever show?
Yeah. Well, I did one in Virginia at like a flower farm, and that was like the first for me. But like for like my own solo project. But yeah, my first show in DC was at Rhizome.
Wow.
And that was like a beautiful experience that, I've always been taken aback how like the sound affects me and my kin when we're all together here. It was definitely like altering experience. Yeah, I still remember like the colors of the night with like.
Tell me about those colors of the night.
I think Pat made it like blue or purple, and it was like it was definitely a vibe. It was very moody, which was great because like I was like I was situated on the floor, and back in those days I was like playing on floors, recording music on the floor, everything. So that I just like took off my shoes, tried to shake off my nerves, and just like allowed my heart to speak. But yeah, those were some beautiful days, like the early days.
It was in the living room?
Yeah, right in the living room.
Do you remember who else was playing that evening with you? Or actually, that doesn't matter. Tell me about that night a little more.
I know, I'm like trying to recollect. I'm like, I need to go back over like photos and videos. I think, Radiator Grays was playing that night, and I was just, of course, blown away. I've always been blown away with Josh's sets. I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
How? Who else was
Were you
playing
here
that
when
night?
he was doing his goodbye party?
Yes.
That was such a good.
That was like probably the best I've.
Oh my God! And the light show.
Yes, the light show.
That guy's gonna, I think, do some lighting on July 4th here too.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Zach.
Cool. Yeah. See, it's just like being able to like stumble upon like amazing beings like creating like otherworldly art like that. It's just
Across
so priceless.
the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. Like you never know who you're gonna like meet here, and I love that. And I feel like so open to like communicate and like dwell with folks and see where everyone is and share where I'm at. I definitely have learned a lot from the different workshops here, or just like spending time with folks here, and have been totally enriched.
Yeah.
And I know like I haven't seen Steve or Michael here in a minute, but I just like I have so much love for them, and Pat and Lane, of course. Everybody is just like welcoming me into the community and like giving me a space to share some of my inner speakings, I guess. Yeah, and like also hold space for me to be completely changed here, like with Thomas Bushmeat Stanley, you know, like
Yes,
it's
Thomas was really hoping to see you today,
I
but he had to go before you.
know, it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to, we're gonna cross roads again,
yeah,
but yeah, like the first time I saw More Mother was here, you know, in a
yeah.
living room. I'm like 20 feet away at max, you know,
Incredible.
like
That house was, I remember that performance.
yeah, I'm like, I was screaming. Me and my show were just like getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just been so many wild experiences here.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, my first performance was here. For first performances, like, yeah, throughout that year. And I would just come. Like, you know, like, I'm like, let me know what I could do. I'll do door. What doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter. I just want to be here. And
Do you feel that Rhizome is filling any sort of a gap in the DMV creative scene? Or
completely.
tell me a
Completely.
little bit about that.
I feel like there's so many artists that have decided to like go about their work like totally outside of like societal like constructed norms, and to be able to like create work that is so authentic and so unique. And I feel like Rhizome is literally a house that houses all of these beings and all these sounds. And I feel like even now, like I can go into Rhizome and no one may even be there, but I can still feel the presence of all the sounds and frequencies that have been like, that have happened there.
So much.
You know, it's
Such
just
a spirited house.
literally. And I feel really held by that house. Like, I've cried in that bathroom. I've cried in the living room. You know what I'm saying? I've screamed in the living room. Whatever.
Let's make it a point to cry today,
Yeah.
right here in the backyard.
Okay, like you feel the vibe is nice. You got the trees, like, you know, like there's been times like I don't even know if a show's happening, but I'm just gonna come and chill in the backyard. Like, Rhizome really created a space for all of us just to exist and just be.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's no other space in the DMV like it. Not hands down.
Why do you think that is? What do you think makes it be that way? What do you think brings the community together?
Yeah.
Is it is it the fact that it is a house, or is it the people involved in it? What
I don't think that is just because it's a house. I think it's the people involved in it for sure. Like they're just like open-hearted, genuine folks that are like, that are not pretentious at all.
Mm-hmm.
That are like also like incredible at their crafts and want to share and like enrich their community around them. They want to bring more folks in to share their own personal stories. I don't know, Rhizome is like, I've never encountered anything like Rhizome. Even in San Diego, there's some experimental spaces, but Rhizome is like completely unique. I feel like, yeah, the house definitely has affected it and it made everyone like kind of like let go of the walls and just like, just share and be comfortable in that space. There's been times when I've met folks that are like, oh, I don't know anyone here, and thanks for talking with me. I'm like, of course, we're literally all in the living room together, you know. But yeah, I feel like it's the people, and we're always gonna have to carry that with us, you know, like no matter what happens with the space.
As the space will be moved, actually, physically, they will move the building over there, and they'll build instead of it. How do you feel about that?
I'm so hurt. I'm literally like this whole time, like coming up here, I was like, don't cry, don't cry. But I'm so hurt by that. I just feel like corporate greed, you know.
Give me.
Like for real. I'm just
I know. I'm with you, man. Have some tea. Take a minute. I'm sorry. I know it's really terrible. I can't imagine that I'm gonna come to DC and there's gonna be no Rhizome.
No, literally, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, why would I even come anymore?
I know.
I mean, I still have friends that live here, so I'll come see them. But, you know, I'm like, it's like, so, it's just so beautiful. Like, come here, come chill, hang out, go to my friend's house, just walk over there. I just feel like you know, they're displacing not just the house, but a whole community of artists. Like they're actively displacing us, and it hurts. But I know that it's fueling a part of me that I can't just accept this, that something must be done, because there's so many artists that need this nurturing space.
Have you, Jude? We'll figure it out.
There's just so many more artists. Like, it's hard to find safer spaces in DC. A lot of spaces are closing down, but I feel like at the end of the day, like, Rhizome is something special that I feel like I would just love to be able to pass on the spirit of Rhizome and the culture to like the next generation. I wouldn't be the same person I am today without Rhizome, to be real, at all.
Me neither.
The experiences that I've had here, I couldn't have them anywhere else, and
No.
that's what makes it so special.
I don't know how to explain that kind of feeling of safety with
Exactly.
also just being kind of maybe self-conscious about my own creations and like
Yeah.
how much freedom I was given, and
Exactly.
I feel like a completely different person because of the openness and the space that this community has provided for me.
Like, if you go in some more mainstream spaces, like they might like laugh at people, like, you know, out the building to like prevent them from even like showing any type of work, whether it be sonic or visual work that they have to offer. But this place has actually nurtured, like, no, those weirder parts and strange parts of you, like, we want that.
That's
And
what
we actually
want,
have like a group
exactly.
of people that can help you grow, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like the space is so different because like, they give everyone the freedom, like you said, to just like fully express themselves beyond like their doubts, beyond like whatever society is telling us that is like outlier or strange or whatever. But yeah.
Can you keep it down, please?
Yeah. I feel a lot about Rhizome being displaced because I just feel like, you know, where can the artists go in DC now? Like, I feel bad for like my close friends that have been born and raised here, folks that have transplanted, whatever, that have found a home here and have found safety here, and now they ain't got nowhere to go. So to be displaced by developers, like, it's definitely like shows like the priorities,
Mm-hmm.
which is like really sad.
Yeah.
I
It
feel
is.
like this community has so much to offer,
Mm-hmm.
DC, period. But like this whole region, like folks have come here from Tokyo, folks have come here from,
Siberia.
I'm saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even have access to some of these folks if it wasn't for Rhizome
Yeah.
or these experiences, you know? So I feel I haven't even been able to place it into words how I feel specifically about the displacement of Rhizome, and that's what it feels like.
It does.
The
It is.
erasure and the displacement, and yeah. But I feel like these are definitely sacred grounds that have like nurtured all of us. So, mm,
Can I ask you maybe last question from me? As far as that kind of safety and openness that this
Yeah.
place provided, and maybe even just looking forward, how can we make it better? How
Yeah.
can we make it safer and more
Yeah.
open? And how can we create spaces to talk to one another, basically? What is your take on that? What makes a space such, and how can we
Yeah.
do better?
For me, what makes a space safer is like, one, knowing that like folks that aren't going to be present that are going to abuse folks or our community members, knowing that folks of any gender, identity, is safe here and can like express their art here safely. I feel like Rhizome has done an amazing job. I feel like they were like on the way to doing even greater things. To be real, I was so excited that Laura Montoya was like a part of like the committee, and she's been bringing amazing artists. I know that Paula Martinez is like right there, like really wonderful artists here in the DMV. You know, so I feel like they've already kind of been on that pathway, and it's so sad to see them to see it cut short. To be real. But I feel like for me, like safer spaces is that like, you know, Black trans folks are safe here. That you know, immigrants are safe here. That folks that are traveling and learning about themselves are safe here. Folks that, you know, they've even had tiny homes here.
Yeah, I remember
You know,
that.
literally letting people live here. People like bands have stayed in the house. Like, yeah. I feel like everybody's just been very, really conscious and aware and mindful of each other while they're here, and checking up on each other. Like even from like Steve giving me like seeing my interests in like wanting to like forage and get to know like my food better and like be a better gardener, like giving me books like vegetable literacy, like just like those kind of things. That's what creates a safer space. Like not only just like welcoming folks but allowing them to thrive and giving them the resources to do so. And then when that person has like been filled, they're able to bloom and be able to blossom and give that to the next person. And I feel like that's what it means to have a safer space. And I feel like that's what Rhizome is on the track to. You know, they've always been, I feel like, yeah, the safest space that I've always felt in the DMV completely. But I feel like they've just been even more mindful of like inclusivity.
And
yeah.
they should continue to be more so.
Exactly. You know, I exist here and I feel safe here and I know that I can take up space and that makes me feel good. And so whenever I perform here or have a show here, I know that my community is safe completely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Jude.
Thank you
Is
so
there
much.
anything you want to add that I didn't ask about maybe?
I want to just express my gratitude. I want to express my gratitude for Rhizome in general, for being able to connect me with like beautiful folks like yourself. Like, you know,
I am grateful too.
like I remember just running into you in the city. Like it would just be like so wonderful and getting to know you. Like I know sometimes like it's hard, like we're at a show and we're all like in tune and like glued in, but after we can actually like kick back in all these chairs and talk. So I'm just so blessed to like be able to have been able to cultivate community in this way, and this, I'm gonna carry this with me forever. Like every person that I've met here that has poured into me here, that I've been able to pour into them here, everything. It's been a blessing and I'm eternally grateful. I love you, Rhizome family.
I love you, Rhizome family too.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're good.